about to say to you might sound fucking insane, but TV shows used to be a pretty big deal. And I'm not trying to say TV shows now are bad or anything. I mean, great new shows like The Lost Reverend, Apples Never Fall, The Dogtown Diaries, and Whisper River are blowing audiences away, except for no, they're not, because I made up every single one of those shows except for one, and I bet you couldn't even tell me which one that was. The point is now, there's just so many TV shows across so many different platforms that everyone's attention is like too divided for like a true hit show to emerge. I mean, I swear to God, I know someone whose favorite TV show is the show C on like Apple TV Plus. Apparently it's a show starring Jason Momoa as like a blind warrior. It's like, to this person, C is like their Game of Thrones. Like every time I see them, they're like, oh, did you see the new episodes of C? And I'm just like, obviously not. But a hit TV show used to be like truly inescapable. And I'll go ahead and say it, a lot of those shows let it get to their heads. And you wanna know how I know? Because it became like a regularly occurring thing for like a TV show to become a hit and then start doing these like promotional photo shoots for the show that had nothing to do with the show. I'm being so serious. And you might not believe me, you might not know what I'm talking about, but that's why I'm making this video, to go through these insane TV photo shoots and basically just ask the questions, why did they do these and why do some of them go so damn hard? This is a photo shoot done by the show Friends, the TV series. Friends did a ton of these. It's so funny for Friends to be like doing like their take on like a construction worker photo, because Friends is probably the least blue collar show of all time. And you can tell even in this photo, it's like they don't even look like they kind of belong there. Like let me show you something for comparison's sake. This is the original photo that they're like homaging, and just look at the difference. Look at the two of them. I mean, the least realistic thing about the Friends version is that they all seem so happy to be there. Like in the original picture, they're scowling, they're grimacing, and I'll say it, they are not hot at all. And look at them side by side. I'll say this, the guys on the right would hate the people on the left. If Ross Geller was somehow transported into the original photo, all those construction workers would just look at each other, wink, and then shove Ross immediately to his death. This was another photo shoot for the show Friends, and I think it's literally even more out of place than the last one. Yep, that's what I think of when I think of the show Friends, a show about rough men and loose women. I mean, maybe the most offensive thing about this photo shoot is that it makes Ross look sexy. He's like flexing, he's wearing a sleeveless shirt. What a shock it would be to look at this photo and then watch the show Friends. Also, wait a minute, is Joey sitting on a drum? What era is this supposed to be anyway? I'm still so confused. Are they in the circus? Are they moonshiners? Are they flappers? Are they cowboys? I'll tell you what they're not. A group of single friends trying to make it in New York City. Okay, this photo makes Friends seem so edgy. Like, oh yeah, they're all lined up and they don't even give a fuck. I don't know if you guys have seen Friends. It is not a controversial show. That's why it's always so funny to me when people kind of talk about Friends now as if it's controversial. Like, sometimes people talk about Friends like, you could never make Friends today. Oh man, there's jokes in Friends that they could never get away with if they made it today. And then you watch the show and the whole show is just like, Chandler, did you eat all the pies? Applause break from the studio audience. Okay, this one doesn't seem that crazy, but I gotta ask, why do all these photo shoots insist on making Ross seem like the cool one? Oh, like he's single-handedly winning the game of tug-of-war. He doesn't even need the other guys. The other guys wish they were as manly as Ross. It's like, did David Schwimmer bribe the photographer? Okay, this is kind of like an iconic Friends shot, and on the surface, it doesn't like seem that weird, right? It seems like pretty normal, but like, when you actually think about it, it's actually fucking disgusting. I mean, they're all sharing two shakes. And by the way, this photo shoot wants to make it clear, there's plenty of ice cream for everyone to have their own. But nope, these freaks all want to be slurping up the same shakes together. Actually, you know what? You think they're slurping it up. No, they're not even slurping up. They're all actually spitting in. That's right, they're all spitting in through their straws to the bottom of these shakes. Then after they're done, they're all gonna slurp up each other's milk cold slobber. Sometimes I wonder why I'm not more popular, and then I say shit like that, and I'm just like, oh, that's probably why. Okay, why is Rachel naked in bed? Why is she the only one who's naked in bed? The rest of them are all wearing clothes. And I'll say it, she does not look comfortable. She does not look at ease that they're all there. They don't even seem like her friends in this picture. They honestly seem like her predators. Based on this photo, you would think Friends was a show about a brave woman escaping a cult. Okay, this one's deeply concerning. Now why is she the only one who's awake? I imagine this photo was taken after she poisoned them for sneaking into her bed. She's like, they snuck into my bed while I was naked for the last time. Okay, this seems like it's the same photo as the last one, except for they're all in different positions, but they're also all still asleep, which means like, did Rachel rearrange their bodies? Okay, this photo shoot doesn't seem like it's off base at a glance. Like, this seems like it would be the vibe of the show if you have never watched the show before. Like, this makes them all look like cool people who drink whiskey and gamble, and that is just not the vibe. I gotta be honest, little backstory, Friends is actually one of the first shows I ever watched, because, like, my parents would not let me watch TV. They were, like, not into it at all. But my parents were into making me do Kumon, which I don't have the time to explain to you, but basically it's like an after-school math and reading program designed to create the smartest, most depressed children on the planet. And my parents would make me do Kumon instead of watching TV. But little did they know, Kumon actually had a point system where you could accumulate a bunch of points and get prizes. And one of those prizes was a little handheld TV. So, turning my parents' weapon against them, I did enough Kumon where I got enough points to get the handheld TV, and then I would watch it in my bed under the covers after my parents went to sleep. And at that time, Friends reruns were always on. So I would watch Friends. And look, these photo shoots, I gotta be honest, they have nothing to do with the show, but they are a lot of fun. Like, these are the photo shoots that Friends did for like their 10th and final season. God, look how boring it is. They all look like they're running for mayor, and also none of them are even naked for no reason. Okay, we're about to move on to other shows, but I feel like I just have to confess at this point, I fucking loved this show. I'm sorry, I know it's lame, I know it sucks, but I loved Friends. Probably because it was like the first TV show I ever watched. Guy who's only ever seen Friends is like, is it just me or is Friends the greatest TV show of all time? This is totally true. I love Friends so much that the handheld TV wasn't cutting it. So to get around my parents' no TV rule while still watching Friends, I would get my mom to take me to Target for something like unrelated, like school supplies. And then I would use like my birthday money, run in, away from my mom, buy a DVD box set of Friends for like 20 bucks. Then I would run outside, again, without my mom, put the DVD box set of Friends that I had just bought underneath our car, and then run back in, get the school supplies, go to my mom, say, I'm done, check out, and then when she would kind of walk with me to the car, after she got into the driver's seat, I would quickly grab the Friends box set underneath the car, put it under my shirt, and climb into the car. And that's how I would basically buy seasons of Friends in order to watch them without my mom finding out. I basically was doing like Narcos, but with the most basic show of all time. And I have to be honest, I have watched Friends since, and it is tough to say that it holds up. Watching it now, it's kind of hard for me to believe that I jumped through so many hoops just to be able to watch this show. This is also totally true. When I first moved to LA and I was doing stand-up, I was in the green room, and this is really early on, so I was not good at comedy. Not that I'm good at it now. But in the green room, there were like these like more established like road dog comedians, and they just were talking about how much Friends sucks, and they were making fun of the show. And I, again, so bad at comedy, so young, so new, chimed in and said that I actually like Friends. And I literally to this day believe that me doing that did irreparable damage to my career. Anyway, on to the next photo shoot. This is for the show Frasier. Again, seems to have no connection to the actual show from either a costume or a set or a vibe standpoint. Oh, by the way, Frasier is a show that I've never seen, but based off this photo, I assume it's a show about an improv team whose one-word suggestion was smirk. I mean, this whole photo seems to have the vibe of like when you're at a school assembly and the faculty would all do a skit. You know, when they would do that? I feel like they're about to do a pre-scripted little play about how plagiarism is bad. This is a photo, again, I don't think this has anything to do with the show, unless the show is about a man who can control the weather and uses that power to abuse his family and loved ones. These photos of like, you know, the umbrellas, the ponchos, the dog, it's very sitcom-y, but I don't know if the kind of sitcom they are is Frasier. Like, isn't Frasier like smart? Again, I haven't seen it, but isn't the whole thing like Frasier is like a smart guy or something? He's like very smart. I kind of always pictured Frasier as like young Sheldon, but older. Hey, young Sheldon, but older. Now there is an idea for a great fucking show. Is this what Frasier is about? Two businessmen getting manhandled by an old man with super strength? Cause I kinda would watch that. Also, what face is he making? Every time I look at Frasier's face, I'm sorry, I can't imagine watching a show starring him. And that's no disrespect to the actor, I'm purely talking about the character right now. This photo makes it seem like it's all about the old man, and I'm pretty sure the old man is not Frasier. Unless, is Frasier like a last name? Like, are they all Frasier? Are we all Frasier? Am I Frasier? These photos make it look like the old man is Frasier, and also Frasier is a power-mad god trapped in human form who's taking out his imprisonment on 2 traveling salesmen or something. Okay, also, if that's not what the show is about, don't steal that idea. I have dibs on that. This photo is so sitcom-y, and I do mean that in a derogatory way. Looking at this, like, I can't believe the show was so popular. Just based off, again, I've not seen the show, but just this photo. Like, how many people watched Frasier? That's probably a good question. How many people watched Frasier? 33.7 million people watched Frasier? Damn, that means that if I had $1 for every person who watched Frasier, I'd have, like, more than twice as much money as I have now. Everyone always says Frasier is like highbrow, but these photos are very, zoinks. Like the face he's making is very, what am I gonna do? And the faces that everyone else is making are all like, what is he gonna do? And I'll tell you what I'm gonna do, not watch this fucking show. Will work for lattes? Okay, now this is pretty good. I admit. Will work for lattes? Who amongst us wouldn't? Alright, Mr. Frasier, you've won me over. The latte thing was chef's kiss. Okay, I just want to explain real quick why like some photo shoots aren't going to be included in this video. Because there's like a lot of iconic photo shoots that I don't really think fit the criteria of what I'm going for here. Like this was a famous like crazy photo shoot for the show True Blood. And yeah, this is wild. They're naked, they're covered in blood, that's nuts, but this one doesn't really count because even though this is insane, it also is fitting the vibe of the show. Like True Blood is like a sexy vampire show, so like a sexy bloody photo shoot makes sense. I've never seen True Blood, but I remember True Blood. True Blood was huge, right? This is that era where like vampires were kind of everywhere. Like you had Twilight, you had Vampire Diaries, you had True Blood, and then everyone kind of picked which one of those they were gonna go all in on. Like for me, it was Vampire Diaries. I fucking loved the Vampire Diaries. It's an insane show. It truly is insane, but I love it. Like, one of my favorite things that Vampire Diaries did was they spent like a season and a half, like, building up to having werewolves and like building up, ooh, the werewolves are coming, the werewolves are coming. And then as soon as like it came time to introduce the werewolves, they very clearly realized that they did not have the budget to do werewolves on their show. So they then just course corrected by right away introducing a guy whose whole thing is killing all the werewolves. So they build up the werewolves for a season and a half, and then they didn't have the money to actually show them, so they just introduced a guy who's like, yeah, I've killed all the werewolves. Anyway, another thing I love that Vampire Diaries did is they introduced this concept of like doppelgangers, where they're like, yeah, characters in this world sometimes look exactly like other characters. And clearly they did that just so they could have like every actor play multiple characters and probably save money. Like they built up like their big bad villain. They said, this is the villain for a season and a half. Ooh, this villain's coming. And then when he shows up, they're like, oh, by the way, he looks exactly like Paul Wesley, who plays one of the main heroes. To be clear, they're not related. It's not like they're twins. They literally, clearly just wanted to just double up on one of the actors they were already paying. It'd be as if like when you met Voldemort in Harry Potter, he happened to look exactly like Ron Weasley. And the whole franchise was just like, yep, he looks like Ron. Pure coincidence, not related at all. He just looks like Ron, and get used to it. This one counts. This is a photo shoot for the show Supernatural, where these two actors, who, by the way, play brothers, are laying naked in bed with a towel over their junk. And also, like, you might think, well, alright, it's a sexy photo shoot, but maybe they're not meant to be in character. No, they are, because that tattoo on their chest is like an in-show tattoo. So it is clearly meant to be in the world of the show that this photo shoot takes place. You know how you and your brother, like, both get out of the shower and then lay down in bed at the same time to air dry? Yeah, me neither. Also, their hair is dry, so if it was like they just got out of the shower, they've been out of the shower for a while. They clearly just love the vibe of the bed they're in. Also, now that I'm looking at it, those aren't even towels. Those are bed sheets. It's the bed sheet that's pulled over their junk. So they didn't even like get out of the shower. They just both were laying naked in bed and then pulled the sheets over their junk. This doesn't happen in the show. I feel like that's important to say. Again, Supernatural is like a show on like the CW. Like there's not even any nudity in the show. And I definitely don't think there's any romantic tension between the brothers. But this photo shoot's like, hey man, we're making a play for the freaks with this one. I guess that they would say like, no, there's nothing weird going on here. I mean, look, they're laying at opposite sides of the bed. They're kind of doing like a sexified Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, I guess. All right, now if we want to talk about hit shows letting the success of their show go to their head by doing insane photo shoots that have nothing to do with the show, then we gotta talk about probably one of the biggest hit shows of all time. Seinfeld, baby. And this is Seinfeld doing a photo shoot based off The Wizard of Oz. I cannot think of anything that has less in common with Seinfeld than The Wizard of Oz. This just makes no sense, and they really went all out. Alright, I guess maybe this is kind of connected to Seinfeld because the Tin Man famously doesn't have a heart, and if you've watched Seinfeld, it really seems like Jerry doesn't either. He is rejecting women left and right, and he does not care for any of society's rules. Also, if you notice on the right, I could not find like the official versions of any of these images, so the only version of these images that exist is just someone like taking a picture of the magazine. I was gonna say it, I bet if you asked Michael Richards to erase the digital footprint of anything he's done, I doubt he would have picked the Scarecrow photo shoot. Here's another photo shoot where Jerry Seinfeld dressed up as Elvis, not once, but twice. I feel like this photo shoot was definitely Jerry's idea. I feel like the photographer was probably like, yeah, we were thinking you'd be like holding a microphone, maybe telling some jokes, and Jerry's like, hey, what if I don't know, dressed up like the biggest rock star of all time? I will say Jerry Seinfeld does have a lot in common with Elvis, you know? They're both icons who redefined what it means to be successful at their profession, and they both have a couple sections of their biography that make you go, ugh. Okay, well, the good news is he got the Elvis out of his system. Dude, you only do a photo shoot like this if you're on top of the world. You only do a photo shoot like this if you were making the greatest comedy show ever. I never got Seinfeld when I was younger because I was too busy smuggling Friends DVDs into my mom's Pacifica. I've been watching it recently, and look, I'll say this, Jerry's funny. You know, he's a funny guy. He is funny. A lot of people love to pretend that they love Seinfeld, but they hate Jerry. It's like, no, you don't. You like the show, you like Jerry. I've heard this a lot too, where it's like, I only like the parts of Seinfeld that Larry David did. You have no idea which parts of Seinfeld Larry David did, and neither do I, okay? I know it's not cool to like Jerry Seinfeld, but you can give it up. He's funny, okay? The show is funny. Even his stand-up on the show, which, you know, people always kind of make fun of, like, there's a couple bits that'll get you, you know? I'll be watching it and he'll say something and I'll be like, damn it, Jerry, if that ain't true. Like, I'll admit, I think a lot of the reason why people hate on Seinfeld is because it is so popular and so successful, but I'll make this bet. If Jerry Seinfeld was just like a nobody who nobody had ever heard of and never got his due, and you were just like watching the clips of his stand-up, he would be like an indie gem. Like, everyone would be like, why isn't this guy more successful? Okay, this is another photo shoot where they're all covered in birds, something that does not happen in the show, except for Kramer, who it seems like is a bird, which also never happens in the show. He's never transformed into a bird. By the way, you might be looking at this and thinking, that photo kind of looks like half of it is cut off. Half of it is cut off because there was a Getty image watermark that I couldn't find a version of this photo without, so I just cropped it. Purely out of spite, by the way. I can't believe Getty Images, wasn't willing to, just give this one to the people for free. Are you kidding? The Getty is just like, we had to put a watermark on it after all. Where else are you gonna see the Seinfeld cast all on camera together? Okay, this is another one of those photos where, it seems like it would match the vibe of the show if you've never actually seen the show. This has Kramer who ate a bird, which I gotta be honest, Kramer's weird in the show, but this photo shoot overshot it. This makes it seem like Kramer is actually way more fucked up of a guy than he actually was. Yeah, Kramer would come into Jerry's apartment and eat food from his fridge without asking, but he wasn't, eating fucking birds raw. Jerry's like, Kramer, what have I told you about getting bird blood all over my couch? Yeah, I can do a Jerry Seinfeld impression. Okay, in this photo, they're all stacked on top of each other and laughing and having a great time together. That's also not really the vibe of Seinfeld. This picture makes Seinfeld seem like Friends. And the Friends pictures made Friends seem like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And the Frasier pictures made Frasier look like me doing community theater in a few years after my career doesn't work out. Okay, this next one isn't technically an official photo shoot with the Seinfeld cast, but while I was looking for official photo shoots with the Seinfeld cast, I came across this where someone had clearly just put Seinfeld cast into an AI image generator, and since I saw this, now you have to too. Yep, take it in. Look at it. Isn't that disturbing? Okay, and moving on. Okay, this is a photo shoot from How I Met Your Mother, and in and of itself, it's not that insane, right? As publicity stills go. But what is kind of insane is the caption caption on this photo from a Twitter account that tweeted this out a couple weeks ago. This type of sitcom photo shoot can't get made in 2024. Why not? I assume like the two couples are like in relationships, so I assume that all the activity is consensual. Sometimes I feel like this is the type of thing people just say about all old shows, regardless of whether or not it's true. Like, you'll see people just in a cold sweat saying stuff like, they could never make Everybody Loves Raymond today. And then when you're like, why not? They just panic and say something like, 'cause Raymond's not Polly? Also, I'll say it. How on earth is this a parody of Chandler Bing? Is it? You paid for a blue check mark just so you could tweet out stuff like this? Shame on you, Chandler Bing parody. Shame on you. Okay, so I feel like I have to preface this last photo shoot that I found. Gossip Girl had like crazy marketing back in the day. Like, it was a huge hit show, right? And everybody knows, like, famously, they had that campaign where they included like scandalized reactions to the show from like concerned parent groups and stuff. And that's great. I think that was like great marketing. But no, this is like an official cast photo shoot. I don't even know what to say. I'm just going to show you the pictures that made up this photo shoot, and then we're just going to sit with it for a little while together, okay? I'm gonna be really honest, I feel uncomfortable just looking at this. Like, I literally feel like I should be on a watch list just looking at these photos, and it was on the cover of like a major magazine. Like, Rolling Stone is also like not like that edgy a magazine, right? Like, it's not like Playboy or something. I just imagine some boomer dad who like buys Rolling Stone to like read on a plane while he's coming back from a business trip, sees these photos, and when he lands, just kind of knocks on the door of his teenage daughter's room like, hey, yeah, so I was wondering, like, where would someone hypothetically watch that, like, Gossip Girl show everyone's talking about? She's like, why do you want to watch Gossip Girl? He's like, no reason, go to your room! Slams the door, never talks to her again for years. Okay, Leighton Meester is, like, sucking on Blake Lively's thumb. Blake Lively is just laughing, like, aren't we having fun? And it's like, honestly, no. I think we're complicit in some sort of crime, right? Okay, Jesus, photographers were out of control. Like, I wouldn't even have the confidence to ask this of someone. Like, how do you do that? How do you just like, yeah, hey, so for the next picture, what if you two, like, I don't know, sucked off a Twizzler? Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be a cool thing to have photographic evidence of forever? I like how this photo is watermarked by Rolling Stone. Like, we want you to know we made them do this. So Blake Lively was laughing when Leighton Meester was sucking on her thumb, but note she's not laughing now. Sucking on a Twizzler is serious business. Well, look, at least they had a nice time, right? They're holding hands, they're giggling, they're like, what a great photo shoot that I'm sure neither of us will talk about in therapy in the years to come. This is the kind of photo historians would unearth and be like, look at this, two platonic colleagues holding hands. We suspect they were roommates. Wait a minute, this one is the same photo shoot, so like the whole cast was there? Was the rest of the cast there the entire time? Where were they during the Twizzler suck-off portion? Were they just standing off camera whispering to each other like, so this is super weird, right? Are we gonna have to do this? I like to think that they made like Dan and Nate, sorry, those are their character names, I don't remember the names of the actual actors. I like to think that they made Dan and Nate also do really suggestive, obscene things with candy, but they just left those on the cutting room floor. The magazine comes out and the actor who plays Dan is just like rifling through the pages like, wait a minute, they made me and Nate make out over a Sour Patch Kid and they just cut it? Also, I like how Blake Lively is hiding under the covers, like all of a sudden she's bashful now. Dan in the show and the other blonde girl are brother and sister, and here they're sharing a bed. Again, I don't know if they're supposed to be in character, I don't know if they're supposed to be out of character, I don't know if these photos will be used in court as evidence of some wrongdoing, but the vibes are off, I will say that. Okay, I'll say it. This photo seems like a pretty jarring shift in tone from the rest of the photo shoot. They're all clothed, they're wearing like jeans, they're all having a pillow fight. I like to think they made them do this photo first to kind of lull them into a false sense of security. They're like, yeah, we're thinking you're all just gonna be like, you know, wearing clothes, wearing jackets, hitting each other with pillows, and then after that, you know, maybe you'll blow a piece of movie theater candy. What was that? Okay, I think there's one more photo in this photo shoot, and who the fuck is that guy? I've watched the show Gossip Girl. This guy is not on Gossip Girl. Did they just pull a guy off the street and have Blake Lively and Leighton Meester stick their fingers in his mouth? He's got a look in his eye that really disturbs me. I'm gonna go on a limb and say that if this guy does have a Wikipedia, the section for his personal life will get icky as hell. That's just my prediction. And wouldn't you know it, I was right. Ugh. And I thought just for comparison's sake, I'd pull up a picture of a photo shoot for like the Gossip Girl reboot they did a couple years ago. Okay, definitely a more appropriate direction, but then again, this show got canceled and didn't really work out. So that kind of concludes this video about insane TV photo shoots that had nothing to do with the shows they were promoting. If you've watched this far, you're part of an elite club, because I'm just gonna say it, this video will not be going viral. I've gone viral a time or two in my day, so I know when a video has the juice, and this one, this one might just be for me, honestly. I started to get that sense around the second picture of Jerry Seinfeld dressed as Elvis that this video would not be for the masses. This would be for a few weirdos and myself. So thanks for watching, and